The issue of free speech on campus and Trump's practice of detaining and attempting to deport students whose speech he doesn't like is coming to a fruition, because right now we're in the middle of a 2-week trial in which the issue is whether or not Trump's policy of trying to detain and deport people who have visas but are not citizens based on their speech is legal or not. My name is Dina Doll with the Legal AF channel. Let's break this down. So we are in the middle of a 2-week bench trial. It's a trial in front of a judge and not a jury. Several organizations, including the Association of American University Professors, sued the Trump administration, saying that their practice of detaining and deporting people such as Mahmoud Khalil based on their speech, or the Tufts University student that they detained based on her op-ed, is a violation of the First Amendment, and it is creating a chilling effect on their universities. Essentially, they're saying that people are afraid to speak out, to even go and attend. There was one of the witnesses testify they were afraid to attend the No Kings rally because they are afraid at this point of what they say because of the fact that they see Trump targeting people based on their speech. Now, this is all happening at the same time as we're getting reporting that there's this mass exodus from the Department of Justice, specifically from the federal programs branch within the civil rights decision, whose whole purpose is to defend Trump's policies. We've seen 69 out of 110 lawyers leave that. And it's not a surprise when you get into the details of this trial going on right now, because one of the things that the plaintiffs wanted to introduce into evidence was the arrest record of Mahmoud Khalil, because their argument is that this is something that is based on speech. And so they want this arrest record put into evidence. And the Department of Justice lawyer tried to claim that this is privileged. And of course, the judge is incredulous, because this is not something in the future. This is something that already happened. And the judge pointing out specifically saying, basically, if you're saying this privileged, then, well, I'll give you the quote. It says, if the privilege were that broad, no police report could ever be produced if the government decided not to produce it. So really, yet another situation we have seen over and over again where the DOJ lawyers are going into court and either saying that they don't have the information, or misleading the court, not giving the information, making arguments and stances completely contrary to law. In this particular case, by trying to withhold the introduction of that evidence, the judge really being shocked in that case. And you see this in the context of why the lawyers are leaving. You know, they've told Reuters, that they didn't want to have to go into court and take positions and stances that, one, they felt like were against their oath, but also that would get them into jeopardy with their law license, because as lawyers, we have a fiduciary obligation to how we handle ourselves in court. This is why Rudy Giuliani and others lost their license, because you can't go to court and lie. Certainly this Department of Justice lawyer taking this position is already taking a position that as a lawyer, you would not want to take. And this is, just one example of what the DOJ lawyers said. The reason why so many lawyers are leaving is because of the stances the Trump DOJ is asking them to make in court. Now, 4 Homeland Security agents has testified at trial so far, and they said that leading up to the arrests, the orders they received were both highly unusual and urgent. They said typically before Trump, they would never have even been involved in this kind of immigration enforcement, let's say. But because Secretary Marco Rubio made this determination that there was some sort of threat to national security, they got involved. But they said that there was, quote, so many hands in the fishbowl, and that this all came from above. This is part of the plaintiffs trying to argue that there was an actual policy, that this is coming down from Trump targeting students for their speech. One of the agents said, I cannot recall a time that it's come top down like this with a visa revocation under my purview anyway. And specifically speaking about the Tufts University student who had the op-ed, said that the op-ed was part of like the file that he received in order to execute the or to arrest the student, and said that having looked at that, they couldn't see any kind of criminality as part of it. Of course, all these agents did go ahead and make these arrests, but this is part of what these associations are arguing in court. They're saying that these universities haven't seen anything like this since, of course, the time from McCarthy, where he went after his opponents for their speech and other things. And these universities are saying that they are being impacted in real time. Of course, we also see these universities being impacted in real time by Trump, who's trying to take away their funding because, of course, the right has never liked our universities because it provides people with critical thinking and often produces leaders who, with critical thought, lead movements, ideas, political ideologies, let's say, but instead, this using the pretext of speech, cutting our university's science funding instead. And we've been hearing in real time so many research studies having to be canceled, people who had been offered PhD doctorate programs getting revoked because of the loss of funding. So these associations going after what they say is this policy attacking speech and how it is chilling our speech. And so far in this trial, we're seeing the DOJ lawyer, say things to judges that kind of give an example of why we're leaving. So many DOJ lawyers are leaving. And also the agents themselves saying how unusual and how much this came from the top, which isn't a surprise to those of us who have been paying attention, and how Trump is going after people, of course, in a way, not using due process, not using our law, not caring about things like our First Amendment. So my name is Dina Doll with the Legal AF channel. If you have not yet free subscribed, be sure to do that so you can get updates on this and the many other legal issues to come.
I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popak Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popak Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popak Firm today at 1-877-POPAK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopakfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popak Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.